An intense and deadly persecution is going on in Nigeria, primarily against Christians at the hand of Islamic extremists. My next guest is urging Secretary of State Marco Rubio to take immediate action by redesignating Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to the ongoing and violent attacks on Christians across that nation. Joining me now with an update and what he's hearing from the State Department, please welcome U.S. Congressman of the 2nd District of West Virginia, Riley Moore. Did you ever think I'd get through that intro,
Yeah,
Congressman?
you got it. You
we
nailed
did
it.
it. Okay.
Nailed it.
This month on October 6th, you sent a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio raising concerns about these horrific attacks against Christians in Nigeria. We've been covering this. Why have the government, particularly the Biden administration, why did they downplay what was happening there?
Well, it's worse than downplay. They removed that designation as a country of particular concern. Mm-hmm. What they said was going on is kind of some intercommunal violence based around climate change. It was climate change is what's causing Islamic extremist terrorists to kill Christians. Mm. So it was, which is obviously just false. So that's why we're asking the Trump administration to put this designation back in place. And to be fair, here in the Trump administration was the president who put that on in the first place.
Right.
So we're looking to get that back on.
Well, and I guess, so the Biden administration degraded, they moved it off of the country of particular concern. Why is that designation important, Congressman?
It is important because it gives us different levers in terms of our diplomatic tools, but also gives us the ability to suspend or restrict security assistance, which is training, arming, and equipping the Nigerian military, and gives us a little bit more leverage and get them to do the right thing over there.
And what's the State Department saying?
Well, we have talked to the State Department. They are looking at it. I have talked to the White House staff about it as well. They are looking at this as well. No one's giving us any resistance. Obviously, the president is doing 10 million different things right now. He's brokering deals with China. He's in Malaysia.
Building a big, beautiful ballroom.
Building a big, beautiful ballroom, doing a lot of things. I know the president, and I know this is something that is close to his heart, and I think once we're able to get this in front of him, I think he will do it.
In July, along with U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, you introduced a resolution condemning the persecution of Christians around the world. What's the status of that resolution? I know it was kind of sidetracked because of the shutdown.
Yes, now that resolution specifically was talking about persecution of Christians in Muslim-majority countries, which is really where this is the flashpoint, right? Mm-hmm. That's Nigeria, Syria, the Middle East, any of these countries. This is not a coincidence where this is happening. And so that resolution, we are continuing to pick up co-sponsors for it, but obviously this has all been sidetracked by this ridiculous shutdown that we're dealing with right now.
When is this going to end? I mean, we are moving into the 30th day of this thing. 35 is, I guess, the longest shutdown we've ever been through. This is on track to be the longest. SNAP benefits, food stamps, about to run out on November 1st of money. You sit on the House Appropriations Committee, Congressman Moore. How do you see the shutdown playing out? What's the trigger that will finally open this thing up?
Well, I do think that there is a little bit of light here right now as of late. And the Democrats have been speaking with Republicans, the rank and file, not the leadership, about what if we just start moving some of these appropriations bills and start opening the government kind of one by one.
In bits and pieces.
In bits and pieces instead of just voting for the CR, which they should do. They should do that, so then we can get to the negotiation of actually full funding for the government for the whole fiscal year. But I think that's what you're going to see here is a partial opening, bits and pieces, one by one, moving to reopen the government in totality.
How do you come together in a bipartisan way when the rhetoric is so hot right now? And are you worried about civil disobedience?
Well, I think the way that you get together here is the pressure, which they've created themselves, the Democrats. They're being pressurized on their side. Great example would be the head of the Federal Workers Union has come out and said, vote for this CR, get this done. The SNAP benefits, look, that puts pressure on me and my district, everybody. We're all feeling it. So a lot of people in West Virginia depend on SNAP benefits. 1 in 6 in West Virginia are on SNAP. We need those benefits. And luckily our governor stepped up and is going to backfill some of that right now. But this is insane that this is being held hostage. We are literally holding food hostage so the Democrats get what they want. That's not right.
No. You began your career as a welder. at a mining operation. You've written and spoken a lot about the importance of steel and mining to our economic solvency. You wrote, economic capacity and industrial output are critical in defending the nation and creating a better quality of life. A strong manufacturing sector is in itself a strong deterrent. China understands this, you write. Given that President Trump just met with Xi on this trade deal, how is the United States progressing on the manufacturing front, on that sector, and what needs to be done to really compete with China at this point?
Well, I want to highlight one thing in particular, tariffs. Tariffs are a huge part of that. We can't just, rub our fingers together and say, let's start making things in the United States when no one else is playing by the rules and they're taking advantage of us and our manufacturing base, which they have hollowed out, which we did to ourselves as well. Yeah. That's why we're trying to right set this right now. And those tariffs are going to be critical to reshoring jobs here in the United States, but also creating an even playing field, not just in those countries where it can compete, but here in the United States. So if you want to dump cheap products here into the U.S., you will pay a premium to be able to compete with our great American products here. So this is helping even the playing field for our manufacturers here at home, and it will incentivize more manufacturing.
You are a Catholic, a husband, father of 3 young children.
Yes.
You also serve in the pro-life caucus, the family caucus in Congress. Chris Smith, who's the venerable Chris Smith, has come on this show many, many times. Tell us about the state of that pro-life cause, given that you're not dealing any longer with a bipartisan pro-life caucus. You had Democrats on that at one time. That's all gone now. But has the Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court dismantling Roe v. Wade, what has that done? Where has the battle moved, and what is the role of Congress at this point?
Well, the battle has moved to the state level, obviously. That's where it is right now. But I just want to give my own perspective on this. The Supreme Court didn't say this moves to the state level. They said it moves to the legislative level, right? So that could be Congress. I want a federal ban on abortion. That's what I want. Now, if we can get there, people said it was impossible to overturn Roe v. Wade, but that is what I'd like at some point. Now, in my state in West Virginia, we have banned abortion. It is 0 weeks in West Virginia. We passed a law after the Dobbs decision. Not a lot of people know that. We are a very pro-life state in West Virginia. But the bad thing is now it's left to the states. We have states like California where it's up to the moment of birth. I mean, which is just a tragedy.
But even in your state, even in Texas, I was just in Texas, the Biden administration loosened the regulations on the abortion pill, which is now available in CVS and Walgreens in communities. So it's a much larger playing field than before, where we were talking about abortion clinics.
Yes, it is. And look, this is something I've been fighting in the Appropriations Committee, and something that I worked on very hard, and to your point, it's no longer bipartisan. The Hyde Amendment. That used to be bipartisanly supported. We just fought about it in the appropriations markup here recently on Labor H. I worked for Henry Hyde. That was my first boss when I worked on Capitol Hill. A great man, a great pro-life warrior. And I'm looking over on that side of the aisle. This used to be a no-brainer, where it was just bipartisan, no longer.
Before you run out of time, I know you were calling on President Trump, in addition to the Nigeria redesignation. You are asking him to grant the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our nation's highest civilian honor, to a man that you call one of the most prophetic voices of conservatism, Patrick J. Buchanan. Now, Pat Buchanan has been a guest on this show countless times through the years. He sat in that chair. In your opinion, what does Pat get right about America? What has he gotten right over the last 20 years? And do you think the president will heed the request?
I think a harder question to answer is what he got wrong. He was right,
including where the right went wrong, which was the name of a book. Go ahead.
I mean, he has been correct literally on almost everything. I mean, very prescient pieces of literature and books that he's put out over the years. Death of the West being a great one. Go back and read those, and you're living in those times right now. He was literally right about everything. Myself and other colleagues, we are asking for the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Pat Buchanan, and I've even got some agreement from some Democratic commentators out there on this that said, you know what, you're right, because when they do write the book on the America First movement, he will be some of the first chapters in that.
Yeah, this is when you look at what Trump did, when you look at the Trump agenda, It was all Pat Buchanan stuff. Immigration, tariffs, concerns about China, building up the manufacturing base, concern for the working man,
Yes.
pro-life, all those things were the Buchanan pillars that people said he was crazy at the time. During the Bush era, they said he was out of his mind.
Oh, yeah.
The sage of McLean.
He came to
always
Weirton,
said.
West Virginia in the 90s and told us if we continue down this path with NAFTA, if we continue trade with China, there were 10,000 people working at a steel mill in Weirton at that time. He said, you all are going to lose your jobs. We got 3,000 jobs left there now. He was 100% right.
Yeah, well, that's a medal that's well deserved.
Yes.
Congressman Moore, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Talk to
Raymond.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.